Welcome to The Read Along,
a mini book club for your ears.
I'm your host, Scott.
I'm your other host, Anita.
And join us on a journey through a good book,
one chapter at a time.
Do you like talking about movies? Do you like talking about mediocre movies? Do you like talking about how you could have fixed mediocre movies? Well, I certainly do, and you can listen to me, Scott C. Bourgeois, along with my co-hosts Greg Beaver and Liam Creswick, as we give our notes, and I have some notes. You can follow it now on your podcatcher of choice, or support it by visiting patreon.com/IHaveSomeNotes. We found a break between hammering in order to record today. We're in the midst of an interior home renovation. We spent the last week ripping up flooring and carpeting, and this week we've got flooring people in, putting new stuff in. And we realized at our regular recording time that, there's a lot of noise.
There's a lot of noise happening.
And so there was a little bit of question about when we were going to be able to record, but thankfully they've finished for now. And there's a break, so we've been able to sneak in a recording very close to when we would normally record today.
Yeah, not bad, actually.
That's nice. And by the end of the week, we'll have new flooring in, and our house will be just a little bit less smelling like cat pee.
Yay! We are looking forward to that part especially.
Yeah, the old... We mentioned before we moved into an aged house.
Yeah.
Needed some work.
Bit of a fixer-upper.
And one of the things that needed fixed was the flooring.
Yeah, it was very old and very worn out.
And also the house reeked of cat when we first moved in.
Yeah.
And that is a smell that we've worked very hard to get rid of.
But you can only do so much when it's like
baked into the floor.
The carpet, yeah.
Thankfully, the old cat pee carpet is gone and new flooring is being put in. And they actually mentioned they're going to bring some like industrial cleaner to spray on the floor.
Enzyme stuff to truly get rid of it, which is great.
So that'll be nice. Looking forward to that.
Yeah.
At any rate, we should get into our book.
Yes, let's.
And that would be chapter 23. But before we get there, we'll do a brief recap of chapter 22 of our novel, where Elliot shows up to tend to Dani's arm because she is not. Ends up spending the night and then discovers diary pages in the morning, which fills in the final gaps of what was going on with Maeve all those years ago, and leaves Dani with some questions that can only be asked of her mother. And so that is where she is going as we kick off chapter 23 of The Frame Up by Gwenda Bond. So yeah, Dani basically packs up and heads over to check in with Maria first thing the next day.
Yep.
And finds the situation at the prison hospital is a much more lackadaisical around her mother all of a sudden.
Yeah.
Almost like she's charmed all the guards to kind of give her a little bit of deference.
Well, maybe not all of them, but...
Enough of them.
She has clearly...
made herself comfortable.
Indeed. Yeah. She's had some influence on some influential people.
Yeah, that leaves Dani with a bit of a bad taste in her mouth, but nonetheless.
Rightly so, if you ask me.
Yeah, she meets with her mom in, the garden. The little patio area.
Yeah, it's like the prisoner patio. I imagine you're allowed to go outside for, good behavior or something.
Yeah. Maybe.
I didn't notice it, but Dani did and made mention of it. That the one guard referred to her mother as a patient?
Instead of a prisoner?
So I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, Dani does consider her mom's power a little bit here and recalls that it's not a permanent effect. And inevitably, Maria apparently tends to push it a little too far.
Yeah, and then someone pushes back because you can only influence so much over someone's will. Right?
Yeah, because hers is a power of suggestion. So it works best when you're poking someone to do something they might be inclined to do. And the further and further away you get from their core personality, the harder it is for the influence to take effect until ultimately it breaks. And they're like, no, I'm not doing that. What are you talking about?
Absolutely not.
Apparently, yeah. Maria's bad habit is that she just keeps pushing and pushing and pushing until it breaks.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
And I can sort of justify the whole patient-prisoner thing. She is in a medical facility.
Yeah.
Right? But still. Dani noticed, and there's
Yeah.
clearly been influence.
Dani gets right down to business with her mom, and the first thing is like, why did you mess up my job? And Maria gives just the worst answer, which
Ugh.
is, I thought it was too easy for you.
Yeah, it was just making it harder.
And it's like,
What?
this is a make or break heist for you. This is the heist that ostensibly might get you out of prison, and you decided it was going too easily? There's one thing about challenging Dani, and there's another thing entirely about just being a jerk.
Like thwarting Dani?
Yeah, and this comes across more like the latter than the former.
She really is the worst mom ever.
Yeah, like Dani legitimately throws in her face, like, do you want me to fail this job? And Maria's very sincerely like, no, I very much don't. There's a lot on the line. And it's like, what are you doing then?
So at this point in the chapter, I saw it as like one of two ways. She's either incredibly evil, like truly, deeply evil, or completely and utterly brainwashed. That was the only way I could explain what was happening.
I don't think she's brainwashed.
You think she's just evil?
I think
She's just terrible?
Dani is very convinced. She's very much convinced herself that Archer somehow has power over Maria, and if she can just get rid of Archer, everything will go back to normal. Maria will be just all sunshine and roses. And I don't think that's the case. I think Maria is very much thick as thieves with Archer, willingly and knowingly. And she basically says that this chapter.
Yeah.
Because the next thing Dani brings up is, I found the diary. She neglects to mention that she found the final pages. She wanted to keep that in her back pocket and to see what her mother would offer up. So all she says is, I found the key, I got into the safety deposit box, and I have the diary. Maria corroborates all of it and is like, yes, that is accurate. My mom tried to keep that from me, but I found it and I left it ostensibly in a place where you might be able to find it. So yes, I will confirm Archer is a demon. And also, she basically says Maeve made a mistake not teaming up with him. And that's a mistake that she wasn't willing to repeat. So that implies to me that this is a partnership. This is not a one-sided thing. This is not Archer exerting influence on her. It's her taking advantage of the demon in order to further her own career prospects. I don't know. She also very specifically doesn't offer up any information about those final diary pages. Not where to find them, not what was in them. Which means that she is keeping that secret for a reason. And there's only two reasons why she would be keeping it secret. And that is, number one, if she's trying to keep the fact that their blood could free Archer away from Dani, or she's trying to ensure that Dani can't do something stupid like destroy the painting. And either way, that's bad.
Yeah.
That paints a bad picture of Maria. That really does make it look like she has made a deal with the devil, knowingly, willingly, and is upholding her end of the bargain. So it reads to me like Dani is trying to convince herself that her mom's not as bad as she is.
Yeah, I know.
I would eat this delicious crow if that turned out to be the case. If it turned out that Maria really isn't all that bad, that she's been working on some scheme in the background and she's keeping Dani in the dark because there's too many intricate pieces and she can't risk messing it up now, and that in the end it's all going to be sunshine and roses. Num crow. But I'm really feeling like Dani is trying to convince herself that Maria can't be that bad, and she just is.
I mean, right now it really does look like it.
Yeah.
Right?
I feel like I did a lot of the talking there because Nita took a minute to refresh herself on something in the book.
There was a line in the book that I needed to find about the journal. Dani was talking something about the journal, and I couldn't find it. So after that whole tumultuous conversation, curt conversation with her mother.
Yeah, because she gets dismissed shortly after.
Yeah.
That. Like, go finish the job, be gone.
Yeah. She is dismissed and escorted out. So now Dani has to, like, test the truth of things for herself, right?
Yeah.
So she heads back to the house.
Because it turns out she happens to have a perfect test subject.
Yeah.
Which is Lord B in his painting.
Right? So in the moment, I couldn't understand why she cut herself at the elbow. Like, that's a weird place to cut yourself. Like, how awkward. But it occurred to me afterwards, I'm like, oh, she's about to go to a gala? Like, maybe cut yourself somewhere where you can hide it.
Well, yeah. And also, this is a weird thing that's been pointed out a lot. It looks really dramatic for someone to cut their palm. And so that's why you often see it in movies or on TV when there needs to be a bloodletting, when somebody needs to prove that they're not a changeling.
Their hand open.
Yeah, they'll slice their hand open. That's actually the worst place to do it. You use your palm all the time.
Yeah.
Don't cut your hands.
Yeah, don't cut your hands. They're and obviously don't slice anything major so that you're gonna truly injure yourself.
Yeah,
but there are other places to draw blood from that are way better.
Yeah, and honestly, just an innocuous little cut on your arm.
Yeah. Not so bad.
Not so bad. She gets her hand bloody and touches the painting, and it's dramatic and instantaneous.
Yeah, and then a big CGI magical scene happens in the cinema of my mind.
Yeah.
And this dead body comes out of the painting, lands. Hold on, I wrote it down. A dead man appears from out the painting and then disappears into dust.
Yeah, the image on the painting vanishes, and Lord
blank canvas.
Drops to the floor. And for a moment, I was like, oh God, now she has to deal with a dead body. But thankfully, time catches up to it shortly thereafter, and he just turns to dust.
Yeah.
And so that's one bullet dodged.
Well, and then the book actually points out that there's this sense of normalcy again.
Yeah, all of the weird malignancy that was surrounding the painting is just gone.
Yeah, everything's sort of reset and dealt with.
Mm-hmm.
Which I thought was interesting.
Yeah.
That may or may not come to play again in the future. Who knows?
Who knows? So yeah, she confirms that this works.
Yeah.
Her blood will free a soul trapped in the painting, which means that, number one, she could be used to free Archer, and number two, she may have a means of destroying him.
Well, yeah. She knows if she destroys the painting.
In theory, he destroys him. Now, there is one wrinkle in that plan that I can foresee. I'm just going to point it out here real quick. She made a perfect copy of the painting.
Yeah, I was going to ask about that.
So if she destroys the original, she could sense there was something in her forgery. And that leads me to believe that she may have accidentally created another vessel.
I was wondering about that. Did she recapture part of Archer in her painting?
That's my worry.
Is he now bound to this other painting?
Because, as we've said, she captures something of the soul of the original painting, which is why people perceive it as unoriginal.
Yeah.
And so, in this case, did she accidentally siphon off some of the soul from the original and put it into the forgery?
Maybe.
Did she accidentally create a second phylactery for him?
Do we have to destroy both of them now?
Because that makes the theft all the more difficult.
Also, one would assume that Archer would recognize the forgery versus the original.
But he might be hedging on not saying anything.
Maybe? I don't know. There's a lot of fiddly factors here, I
think.
think.
There's a non-zero chance that Archer doesn't trust Dani not to do something rash, try to destroy the painting, and so he'd just keep it to himself that she created a perfect second place for him to go and have a little hidey hole.
Oh, maybe.
Hard to say.
Don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, we'll definitely find out.
Almost
I hope
certainly.
we find out.
Yeah.
Okay, so after I'd read this chapter, I sat down and did a little thinking on paper just to see if my original plan of Maria's double cross was still plausible after this chapter.
Okay.
So here's what I've got. It's not perfect, and so I'm not saying this is the way it's going to be. I'm not saying I've solved it. I'm just saying I think there's still a case for a double cross. So Maria would know that Elliot would be able to find the other pages, would she not?
Yes, she might not be considering that, especially if the pages were hidden much earlier, because Elliot, when Dani did the betrayal, Elliot was still relatively new to the crew at that time.
Fair enough.
She doesn't know exactly how his magic works. How is she to know that he can, in a dream about where to find something?
I don't know. One would assume that she does know how his magic works to some extent because he was on the crew.
And to be clear, I'm just playing Archer's advocate here. So,
thank you.
It's that is very plausible. It could be something she was counting on.
Yeah. That's what I mean. She knows, at the very least, how Elliot's powers worked, past tense, and assuming that they haven't changed, she knew that Elliot would lead Dani to the diary, meaning that she did, in fact, want her to have it. Otherwise, she probably would have destroyed it, having read it.
That's fair.
Right? And I think the reason she made the heist harder for Dani is because she does want Dani to prove herself because Maria needs a partner to take out Archer.
Possibly.
Yes, a possibility. I'm not saying for sure. I'm just saying I think it's plausible. I think Maria is pulling an incredibly long con.
And that could be the case. That's certainly what Dani is hoping.
Yeah. If this is right. Like, I'm not saying I am. I'm not saying I'm confident in this.
Yeah.
But if I fill in enough blanks myself, I can kind of justify it. I think it's possible.
It is possible.
I don't know if it's probable, but I think it's possible.
Yeah. Well, I guess we'll see.
Yeah, I'm excited to find out, actually, because we're getting closer and closer to the actual heist part.
We're just about there. We might be there as soon as chapter 24.
Maybe? Because if I have my timelines correct, the gala is tonight in the book.
Dani had set Elliot to coordinate with Rabbit and basically figure out some of the fine details of what was going to go on tonight while she went and spoke to Maria. So I'm assuming next chapter will be her returning to the Rabbit Hutch to, like, finalize those details, and then we're going to go into the heist.
Maybe. Or, as the audience, we don't get those details because we just get to follow along the heist and figure it out.
That's also possible.
It happens in the movie sometimes.
So maybe we'll find out in chapter 24, which you're going to want to read up on in time for next week.
I know, I'm going to.
In the meantime, of course, as always, you can give us a little rating and review because that helps us out.
And we appreciate it.
Yeah, you can also reach out to us on social media.
Oh, 100%. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, Goodreads, and Blue Sky. Not in that order. We are at The Read Along on most of those.
Yes, you can also send us an email.
Oh, please do. We would love to get them. You can reach us at thereadalong@gmail.com.
And with that said, as always, we love you very much, and we'll see you next time.
Glitzy and gowny, it's going to be great.
Thank you for joining us on The Read Along with your hosts, Anita and Scott Bourgeois. All Read Along music is by Kevin MacLeod at Incompetech.com. Cover art is by Aaron Beaver. Be sure to join us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at The Read Along, and check out our group on Goodreads.com.